Hi. My question is about the Book of Life, and I'm reading from Revelation 13:8, just a small portion, and I'm doing the ESV version. And it goes on to say about, and all who dwell on earth will worship it. Everyone whose name, and this is where my question is, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world and the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. What does it mean when God has not written a name before the foundation of the world?
Well, that's because God knows everything. God does not learn. This idea that God on a daily basis tries to figure out who's going to accept him and who's not is not biblical. That's why the Bible can clearly say we're predestined. But the predestination is not based upon God's selection. It's based upon our decision whether to serve him or God. And nobody can fault God because he knows the end from the beginning. Those that will accept him and those that will reject him. And this is where the great problem comes from. And this is where these different doctrines come in that say, well, God has saved some and he didn't save others. No, that is based upon our decision. Again, if I have a copy, as an example, of the Super Bowl game that was played, a couple of months ago, and you see the guy in the end zone drop the ball or whatever, just because I have that videotape, I don't change that videotape. It's what happened. Well, I didn't make him drop the videotape because I have the videotape or the DVD, whatever it might be. And this is the way God is on our life. He's got the whole life story of every one of us in the end. God already knows who's going to make it and who doesn't. Now, somebody asked a question one time, then why do we go through this zoo we call living? It's not for God's benefit, everyone. It's for ours. So when we get to heaven, we're not going to go up there and go, I don't have a clue how I got here, man. This is a pretty cool place you got here, God. No, you're going to know exactly how you got there. You're going to know exactly why you were saved. You're going to know exactly why people that we know who are not there, why they're not there. Listen, we just shed this mortal coil. We shed our gray earth suits when we die. We're going to get a new body if you're a Christian that never breaks down, all those great things that God's got for us. But there's not going to be anybody in heaven going, oh, I don't know how I got here. No, the fact the Bible says we're going to be known as we're known. It's for our benefit this life is, to understand and for us to lay up treasure in heaven for him. And so again, just because God knows the decisions that every human being on this earth ever make, we can never fault God because somebody goes to hell. That is a decision that individual makes. And just because God knows doesn't change that individual's ability to choose or reject Christ. Your thoughts?
Exactly right, Mike. And basically what that verse is simply saying is that all of those who respond to the gospel message in faith and become the redeemed people of God through faith in Jesus Christ, God already knew who they were, and it was as if he had already written their name down in his book before the earth was ever created. And God can do that, as Mike said, because he has foreknowledge. He knows all things. It's the same idea like when you read in the book of Ephesians and it speaks about how God chose us to be his people before the foundation of the world. That's simply what it's saying. So it's just a way of saying that we who are believers in Jesus, who have come to a relationship with God through faith in Jesus Christ and through the gospel message, that we are God's people and that God knew it and ordained it to be even before he created everything. So that's really what it's saying there. Mike?
I hope that helps.
It does.
Valinda, because I realize that it's hard for us because everything I know has a begin date and a death date, whether it's the gallon of milk in the refrigerator or whether it's walking by a cemetery and seeing the birth date and the death date on a headstone. Everything I know has a beginning and an end. whether it's our 57 Ford and the outside is our classic car, or whether it's I just bought that car, it's brand new. Well, wait a minute, I bought that 4 years ago. It's not new anymore. See, everything we have dates tied to it. God doesn't have dates. He lives in all times present. I don't know anything like that. But here's the good news. God, knowing all the mistakes that I'd make in my life, still lets me into his kingdom, lets you into his kingdom. Everybody, that's good news. Again, God is greater than anything you've done wrong. And so that's something that we can all take peace in and rejoice in.